Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today it's time for us to review XCOM 2 Collection for the Nintendo Switch. This review was originally written by the wonderful PJ O'Reilly, and has been adapted for video by me. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling, let's dive right into things. 2K Games really has gifted Switch owners with a smorgasbord of truly excellent games from their back catalogue lately, with the publishers Borderlands, Bioshock, and XCOM franchises all exploding onto the eShop in unison. It's certainly going to be interesting to see just how well they've managed to deal with the technical task of porting this lot onto Nintendo's hybrid platform, and if we were to pick from the entire bunch, it's surely got to be XCOM 2 that must have provided the biggest challenge in this regard. Because it's the newest. Thankfully, Virtuous, who have already done a fantastic job with Starlink Battle for Atlas and Dark Souls Remastered, has not only managed to get this turn-based tactical behemoth up and running, they've done a properly solid job. Let's be clear, this is a hugely demanding title that has had numerous bugs and framerate issues that have plagued even the PC and PS4 and Xbox One version. Long loading times and dodgy frame rates are all par for the course here, but Virtuous has somehow still managed to squeeze it all onto the Switch in a highly playable state. Yes, the graphics have been kicked right down to their lowest settings, and yes, the frame rate is slightly all over the shop at times, and yes, loading in and out of missions can sometimes feel like a bit of a drag. There's also a pretty big but hopefully very patchable bug that we'll get onto in just a bit, but rest assured, regardless of all that, this is still the full-fat XCOM 2 and XCOM 2 War of the Chosen experience, and the brilliance of Firaxis' genre-defining game absolutely outshines any technical difficulties we've come across whilst playing through it in both docked and handheld modes. Before we get down to the nitty-gritty of this port specifically, and for the benefit of anyone who hasn't already indulged in some other platform, XCOM 2 is 2016's stellar sequel to 2012's XCOM Enemy Unknown. I can't believe it was 2012. This is an entry in the franchise that sees a load of smart new additions folded into the already excellent XCOM core gameplay, and is, quite rightly, regarded as one of the very best turn-based strategy games currently available, regardless of your platform of choice. Set 20 long years after the events of Enemy Unknown, things kick off here under the assumption that you failed in your mission to fight off an alien invasion in the previous game, and now the world's ruled by a human Advent coalition. Oh dear. Of course, Advent, being the absolute baddies that they are, aren't being entirely upfront with their motives of being a part of this unlikely union, and it's up to you as Commander, freshly busted out of alien captivity after 2 decades, to gather your disparate forces together and uncover the secrets at the heart of the Advent network, all whilst taking the time to fight them in various locations around the globe. The titular XCOM initiative has itself been reduced to little more than a resistance movement, a far cry from the well-oiled and properly funded fighting machine of previous titles, and here you'll be spending your time mobilizing against Advent threats by striking out against them from the shadows as they appear in various regions across your world map. You'll also be providing support for emerging resistance groups and attempting to strengthen and expand your network of allies in order to make sure that Advent knows that you exist and you kill them lots. As well as engaging in turn-based combat missions, you're also going to be juggling research into new weapons and technology with resource management, organizing ship expansions, staff, new laboratories and workspaces, and choosing which threats to deal with first. Making the correct decisions regarding what to develop next, when and where to engage with the enemy, and how to spend your vital credits and resources is beyond essential, and any mistakes that you make will absolutely come back to haunt you on the battlefield. The missions you play most often begin with your squad in concealment, which is a new gameplay mechanic for this sequel, which allows you to sneakily position yourself and prepare to engage your opponent before announcing your arrival by firing lead into their face. Honestly, it's a brilliant addition to the core gameplay, and it seems to work so fluidly that I personally forgot that it wasn't a part of the original XCOM until I really thought about it. That's how well it works. The whole concept of setting up as many of your characters into the game's Overwatch mechanic, which is nothing to do with the Blizzard game and just means that that particular character will shoot at the enemy if they get within line of sight and move, allows you the potential of a tremendous first blow and a way to get the upper hand early in a fight that is usually stacked against you. What's more, you'll also be constantly fighting the clock as well, something that was a little contentious when the game first came out. This is not an experience that needs any more stress injected in it, to say the least, but in practice it adds an excellent level of excitement and tension to everything that you do. Missions will often charge you with hitting your objectives in a set number of turns, options on your world map will very often need urgent attention, and the Advent Doomsday Clock ticks down ominously over the entire situation, meaning you'll need to take the offensive at all times rather than just sitting back and trying to protect your soldiers and assets, which you're gonna want to do, because taking the offensive in XCOM 2 is brilliantly terrifying, largely down to the game's robust character creation suite and building your very own bespoke crew. Let's be real, who doesn't want to see their friends and family die horribly whilst attempting to thwart the plans of evil alien invaders? It's every girl's dream! Unfortunately, as we mentioned earlier, this Switch version of the game currently has a bug, which is seeing customized character in your character pool being wiped when you restart the game. Some elements of your creations, like their name, nationality, and class, do remain, but basically everything else gets completely randomized, meaning all your hard work just goes immediately down the drain. If this is something you're interested in, and we encourage you to be interested in it, this is a fairly major problem, but we are pretty hopeful that it will be addressed in a patch fairly soon. We're just gonna have to wait and see though. I do also want to make it clear that if you customize characters from within a game in the armory section, those changes do stick. This bug only seems to affect the character creation pool, so if you just create the characters in the game, you'll be alright. The War of the Chosen expansion, which is also included in this comprehensive collection, takes the base game and adds a whole host of new features, as well as beefing up the already pretty strong story, and really beyond the very first mission, this is an impressively different experience to play through that has enough new elements in it that really, this could have been XCOM 3, and it's not. It's included in this collection. Firaxis has added 3 excellent new factions, namely the Reapers, Skirmishers, and the Templars, who you'll join forces with and who expand your available classes, skills, and combat options to quite a considerable degree. There's also a new fatigue mechanic, covert ops missions, and some brilliant new enemies to tackle, alongside lots of other little gameplay wrinkles. For example, the Lost are a horde of shambling zombie-like enemies who are alerted by noise and now rampage through missions en masse. They're also tied to a brilliant new mechanic which sees you getting a free turn if you manage to take one out with your gun, meaning that if you play cleverly enough, you can take out several of them at a time, giving the combat a massive injection of pace and action. Alongside the Lost, War of the Chosen also adds the Chosen themselves, which are 3 unique alien bosses. These 3 dudes for us are the best enemies yet in an XCOM game. They'll be hunting you down across the world map, randomly interrupting your missions at the worst possible time, and they're nothing less than a constant threat tied into their own unique countdown clock, and need to be defeated at their secret base citadel in order to stop them from resurrecting and continuing to harass you around the map as you try to deal with Advent. What's more, if you kill a Chosen, you'll gain access to their special weaponry, as well as relieving yourself of the considerable headache of having to pit your wits against them time after time after time after time after time. The addition of the Chosen makes a huge difference to the ebb and flow of the game's campaign, and alongside the new fatigue mechanic, ensures that you'll need to rotate your soldiers and get used to the pain of losing them forever, as you inevitably suffer heavy losses and accrue all manner of mental and physical scars, which in turn feeds directly into the fun of the character creation element. War of the Chosen is XCOM 2 turned all the way up to 11, and we reckon, in fact we would absolutely insist that it is an idea to at least get some practice in with the base game before diving headlong into this expanded version. We're not joking. Overall then, XCOM 2 Collection is pretty much an essential purchase for any fans of the genre, but as we've already mentioned, this port does come with a few issues. Virtuos has understandably had to turn the graphics right down. It's not a huge issue for the most part, this is still a good looking game, but there are times, most especially when explosions are taking place or the camera gets up close and personal with a character or piece of scenery, when things can start to look pretty rough. You'll notice lots of low resolution textures and the fact that fancy lighting volumetric effects are basically all but gone, and the frame rate is, as it is on the more powerful consoles, a bit of a liability. However, although Virtuous hasn't managed to keep a solid 30 frames a second here, overall it's not a massive issue, and we don't think it'll affect your enjoyment of the game too much. At the end of the day, this is a turn-based strategy game and not some sort of Twitch first-person shooter or platformer, so the frame rate really isn't that much of an issue. It's a shame, don't get us wrong, but it's not really an issue to gameplay. Loading times, just like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions of the game, can also be a little bit of a pain. Although having said that, it still feels faster than a base PS4. But we haven't done any timing, so we can't say for certain. So if you like to play the game in a save-scumming style, and I can't really blame you because this game is you're going to be in for a lot of twiddling your thumbs as you wait for the game to load back up to where you need to be, or more likely just want to be. However, all things considered, this is still a top-notch title that absolutely plays a decent game in both docked and handheld modes. In portable, many of the graphical downgrades are also much less of an eyesore, and it's just delightful to be able to play this absolute beast of a game whenever and wherever you fancy. In docked mode, however, things aren't quite as pretty. I mean, it generally looks alright, as that's what you've been looking at now, but it's very apparent that the Nintendo Switch is not as powerful as the Xbox One or PS4. Who knew? In short, when XCOM 2 was first announced for Switch, we genuinely didn't really see how it could manage the jump without some sort of serious issues, if indeed it was at all possible, but Virtuous has handed in another strong effort here. This is as good a port as we could have reasonably expected with all the downgrades that we're now used to with Switch, but at the end of the day, it's still a very playable version of one of the all-time greats. XCOM 2 Collection on Switch is the full-fat XCOM 2 experience, and it's got War of the Chosen thrown in as well, which is basically its own game. Virtuous has had to knock the graphics right down to the lowest setting, there's plenty of frame rate issues and bugs that we've already encountered on other platforms, and the not insignificant but hopefully very shortly patched problem with the game's character creation pool, but this is still XCOM 2 running on a portable system. If you can make peace with some of the stuttering and long load times and aren't too offended by pretty ugly textures here and there, you'll be rewarded with what is one of the very best turn-based tactical titles currently available. XCOM 2 is nothing short of a masterpiece, and now you can play it on the toilet, which we reckon is well worth any of the sacrifices made here. Crumbs and blimey, you've reached the end of the video. That means it's Alex's personal thoughts time, and boy howdy do I have some thoughts about this game. I played the original, well actually no, it wasn't the original, it was XCOM Enemy Within. I played that whilst I was at university, and I bought it on the recommendation of my brother, hi Simon, and I was a little bit dubious at the time, but my God, it was a good game. It was so good. And I was really disappointed that I missed out on XCOM 2. I just never got around to it. You know, 2016, I was already doing what I'm doing now, and I just didn't have any time to play any games that weren't on Nintendo systems, and the same is true today, with a few exceptions. Hello, Spider-Man. And honestly, without a doubt, this game is just... it's just fantastic. It's just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it can't be denied that the game does look a little bit rough on Switch, but yeah, I must admit, it's one of the few games that I've played in handheld mode where I've actually felt almost as comfortable in handheld mode as I have in docked mode. It's happened with a few other games, but it's rare, and I think that's partly due to the fact that it's, you know, it's just a turn-based thing. There's no action going on, so you can take your own time. You don't have to grip or claw. Well, you do, but that's just due to the tension that the game delivers. It's one of those games that is a really, really bizarre experience, at least for me personally, because I want to play it a lot. I'm constantly thinking, I want to play this, I want to play this, I want to play this. And yet at the same time, I'm brutally aware that every time I load up the game, I could absolutely lose one of my favorite characters, and I could have a really, really crushing defeat. And even if you take every precaution, you can still have a hideously crushing defeat. And that may not come during your one play session, but you may not quite prepare enough in advance, and later down the line in the campaign, you're just going to get your ass handed to you and you're going to go, oh my god, I wish I had a grenadier. I'm really torn on recommending this game because I absolutely 100% do recommend it, but at the same time, this game will kick your ass 7 ways to Sunday. It is not shy, it is hard, it is unforgiving, but it is so worth it.